So, I'm gay, and I've known I've been gay for a long time. Probably started finding hints in elementary school. I was bullied a lot for it, but I'm here now and I'm not being bullied, so it's fine. But I also wanted to know the difference between me and the other guys in my school. How did they know that I was gay? What differences in me could they find in themselves? Well, the main differences between heterosexual men and homosexual men are biological, prenatal, and behavioral. No, biological, behavioral, and future mental health differences. With biological brain differences, it starts to show signs at birth. Heterosexual men have a certain cell cluster in the hypothalamus that isn't as prominent in homosexual men. The hypothalamus governs sex drive. So we don't quite know how that correlates with the size of the hypothalamus, but it is proven that homosexual men do have smaller hypothalamuses than heterosexual men. And this was discovered by Simon LeVay, which is a British American neuroscientist, in 1991. Not only are there biological differences, but there are also prenatal differences. There is a certain level of testosterone in heterosexual men that aren't found in homosexual men. They also have a higher amount of estrogen, which is a hormone that correlates with being a female. And male fetuses exposed to lower levels of testosterone often grow up with the sexual attraction of the opposite sex. Behavioral differences. Now, some of these are kind of stereotyped, but I mean, some stereotypes are true. So, handedness. I'm handy. I like to express what I'm saying with my hands because I have it, I guess. That's also found in homosexual men that isn't as prominent in heterosexual men. There's also occupational preferences. I'm a product of. I'm a music major. So like the arts here, drama, music theater, dance, those kind of majors. I'm not saying that all of these characteristics are true for all homosexual men, but they are more likely to have these characteristics. Walking style. All of these talk about me. When most of the time, the first thing someone notices about me is how I walk. I'm very, I'm not loose. I'm very, well, people say I'm stiff, but I don't think I'm stiff. I just walk, feet straight, very confident, I guess. And researchers has videotaped a heterosexual man and homosexual man on treadmills, and they noticed, and they played the video for 150 undergraduate observers, and 60% of the time they guessed that which sexuality the guy was. So the homosexual men, they tend to have more sway in their hips, and the heterosexual men tend to not hunch over, but kind of, I don't know how a heterosexual man walks. They manlier, So, not only are there biological differences and behavioral differences, there are also possible mental health differences. Decades ago, homosexuality was thought to be a psychological disorder. Luckily now, today's society has not titled it that, but they still have a stigma towards homosexual men. In today's society, homosexual men are put at a higher risk for anxiety and mood disorders, which aren't as prominent in heterosexual men. Homosexual men are less susceptible to the mental disorders. Heterosexual men are less susceptible to mental disorders because they don't have to deal with the same problems as homosexual men. ridicule from Christians, their parents, friends, society has led to anxiety and mood disorder. Actually, 82% of LGBT youth have problems during the previous years of bullying about sexual orientation. In conclusion, uh, though heterosexual men and homosexual men differ in sexuality based on their biological, behavioral, and possible mental health differences, we're all still guys. We shouldn't let what some people can't change let not make this persuasive. Don't let someone's sexuality determine how you feel about them. What you're born with is what you're born with. If you do choose it, I don't understand why you would, but if you do choose it, then that's their decision. There are other aspects of a human being than just their sexuality or any aspect of their life. So I encourage you to do your research on any topic that you aren't sure of instead of making assumptions, especially with sexuality, because you don't know their morals behind their sexuality.